Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Bibbidi Bobbidi Books. My name is Ellie and today I am so excited to be filming my autumn cozy book recommendations video. So I am super excited to film this video because autumn is my absolute favourite season and cozy atmospheric books are just my favourite as well. So I could not be more excited to recommend to you some books that I think are perfect for the autumn season. I've gone for books that are all quite atmospheric or books that I think would be perfect to snuggle up with on a cozy autumn evening. Some of these books have some slightly darker or slightly spooky themes to them, but I haven't gone for books that are too scary because I feel like we're not quite at Halloween yet. So I think that all of these would be good transition books kind of to take us from summer through to the spooky season. So yeah, I hope that you find this video useful. I have actually filmed this video before. I did a recommendations video last year, so I'll definitely link that down below and also up in the cards as well. So definitely go and check that video out as well if you're looking for some more recommendations, because I still stand by everything that I said in that previous video. But yes, I've got quite a few more to talk to you about today, so without further ado I'm just going to jump straight in with the first book. Okay, so the first book that I have to recommend to you is one that is the epitome of a cozy comfort read, and that is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. Now, I'm sure you've probably heard of this book before because it's absolutely taken BookTube by storm, and for good reason, because this is such a lovely story. This is a slice of life fantasy story. It's a standalone and is just so wholesome and really refreshing as well, because I feel like a lot of fantasy is high stakes. You often have really intense plots, lots of politics and war and all that sort of thing going on, so it's really nice to have a story that is low stakes and is just comforting and cozy. So in this book we follow our main character Viv, who is a orc barbarian, but she is tired of her warrior life, and so she decides to start afresh. She moves to a new town and she opens up a coffee shop. So that's literally what this book is about. It's about Viv starting her new business and opening this coffee shop in a town that hasn't actually ever heard of coffee before, which is quite funny. And it's about her integrating herself into this community, and it's a really lovely story. There's some really great characters that you will absolutely fall in love with. There's a lovely found family feeling in this story, and there's also a really sweet romance as well, which is just the cherry on the top. So yeah, this is such a cozy read. Highly recommend this if you're looking for something quick and comforting to read this autumn, but definitely grab yourself a cup of coffee and a sweet treat when you're reading this book, because the descriptions of the coffee and of the baked goods in this story are just so delicious and you will absolutely be craving all of those things. So yes, that's the first book that I am recommending. Next up we have Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. So this is another standalone adult fantasy book, and in this story we follow our main character Wallace, who is a very selfish character in the beginning of the book. All he cares about is his business and making profits, and he doesn't really care about the consequences of his actions or anything. And the story takes off when he unexpectedly dies of a heart attack and is very surprised to find himself standing at his own sparsely attended funeral. And from there he is taken to this kind of magical, very quirky tea shop, which acts as a kind of way station for the dead who aren't quite ready to pass on yet. And he meets the owner of this tea shop, who is a man called Hugo, and Hugo helps him to kind of come to terms with his situation and to realise kind of some of the mistakes that he made during his life, and to realise what is actually truly meaningful. And I know it sounds like quite a dark premise for a story and a little bit doom and gloom, but it's absolutely not, because this is peppered with TJ Klune's famous humour and it just shines through the pages. The characters are so sweet. Again, we've got a really lovely found family feeling in here. There's a nice kind of moral to the story, even if it is a little bit on the nose, and it's a really creative setting as well. It's quite atmospheric. I really enjoyed the quirky tea shop. Of course it does talk about some heavy themes, you know, it's talking about death and also grief and things like that, but it is quite a light exploration into those things, I would say, and overall it is a very uplifting story. So yeah, I recommend this one if you're looking for something atmospheric and something that has some really lovely characters in there. Okay, next up we have Stardust by Neil Gaiman. So this is an adult fairy tale story, and I feel like there's nothing more autumnal than a fairy tale, so this is absolutely perfect for the autumn season. It's incredibly whimsical in the way that it's written. It's nice and short as well, so again it's going to be perfect to cozy up with one autumn evening if you want something that's going to be quick and atmospheric. And yeah, in this story we follow our main character Tristan, who is a young boy, and he decides to go and retrieve this fallen star in order to win the hand of the woman he loves. And his adventure takes him to this magical realm, this magical fairy realm, because he lives in this town called Wall. And it's called Wall because there is literally a wall that divides kind of, I guess, the normal world from this magical fairy realm. And Tristan ends up going across into the magical realm to retrieve this fallen star, and his adventure takes place there, where things are a little bit strange. And it's a really fun story. It's also a little bit dark at times. We've got witches in here, and there are some kind of creepy scenes in this story actually, and I really enjoy that about this. I really like stories that mix a whimsical fairy tale type situation with dark kind of eerie themes, and this one definitely does that, so I think it's perfect for this autumn season. I will say that I do prefer the movie to the book. Oh, that pains me to say, because normally I enjoy books more than the movie, but this is one of those rare instances where I did actually prefer the movie, and I think if I hadn't have watched the movie first I would have enjoyed this book a lot more, because I had a certain expectation in my head about what this was going to be like, and it just wasn't quite what I was expecting, which I think is a bit of a shame. But regardless of that, I still think that this is the perfect atmospheric cozy read for autumn. Okay, so speaking of books that are kind of whimsical and fairy tale like but also have darker elements to them, this next book absolutely does that, and that's what I enjoy so much about this series. So this is Every Heart Doorway by Shannon Maguire, the first book in the Wayward Children series. So this is an adult fantasy novella, and this series is about this school which was set up by this woman called Eleanor West, and it's a school for children who have gone through a portal. So they've stepped through a magical doorway, or they've stumbled down a magical staircase, or fallen down a rabbit hole if you think like Alice in Wonderland, and they've gone and had their amazing adventure, but then for one reason or another they've wound up back in the normal world, and now they can no longer really fit in, and no one really believes their story. And so Eleanor created this safe place for all of these children to kind of wait for their doors to reappear again, because all they want to do is to go back to their magical world. So yeah, it's a really unique premise for a story, and I just love the world in here. I love how dark it is at times, and how this author uses this kind of fantasy setting to explore some interesting themes, including gender. And at the heart of this story is also a murder mystery as well, so there's a bit of a sort of thriller vibe to this book as well that will keep you turning the pages. It's incredibly atmospheric, it's got fantastic characters in it, and yeah, I just think this is perfect to cuddle up with one autumn evening. Okay, so next up we have a middle grade. So I had to fit a middle grade somewhere here on my recommendations video, because I do love middle grade stories. I think they're so fun and a really nice way to kind of refresh yourself and to yeah, give you a little bit of a palate cleanse if you like reading lots of adult stories. Sometimes it's nice to pick up something that's a little bit different. And the middle grade that I've chosen for this video is A Pinch of Magic by Michelle Harrison. This is just absolutely perfect for a cozy autumn read. This is such a spellbinding story. It's the first in a trilogy, and in this book we follow three sisters, and they are on an adventure to break this curse which has been placed on their family and has been haunting them for generations. And it's such a fun story. There's of course quite a lot of magic in here. The three girls, they actually inherit these magical heirlooms that they use on their adventures, and it's incredibly atmospheric as well. This book actually takes place during the autumn season. I believe it opens on Halloween, so it's incredibly atmospheric. And what I really love about this story is our main characters, because each of the three sisters have a very distinct personality that absolutely shines through the pages, and they have a really lovely sisterly bond as well. It's very clear that they will do anything for each other, and that's really, really lovely to see, and it's so creative and wonderful. So yeah, if you're looking for a really lovely middle grade to pick up during the autumn season, I could not recommend this one highly enough. Okay, so the next book that I have to recommend to you is one that I'm actually currently reading, but I had to include it here on this list because I think it is perfect for autumn. So that is Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. So I am actually buddy reading this with Skim with Steph and with Reading Nymph, and we're having such a fun time reading it together because it is a really fun story, and it's also just really strange and bizarre at times, so it's really fun to kind of chat about that with the other girls. So yeah, this reads definitely like a fairy tale. It's an adult fairy tale because there are some quite dark themes that are discussed in this book. I would say check out the content warnings actually before going into this one, because there are quite a lot of potentially triggering themes and content in this story, so definitely check out those things. But what I would say is if you can push past the first few chapters that are really quite dark, it does turn into quite a light and fun story. So yeah, in this story we follow our main character Mara, who is a convent raised girl, and she realizes that she is the only one that is going to end up saving her family, because basically her sister is married off to the prince and she is very worried about her sister's safety. The prince character is not a nice person, and so she sets about trying to get rid of this prince character. And she clubs together with quite an eclectic mix of people. So she joins up with this grave witch, and also a fairy godmother and a former knight, and also a chicken possessed by a demon. And they all end up on this quest to try and get rid of this prince basically. And yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic between the different characters. I love the way that this story is told. It's incredibly atmospheric. As I said before, it reads like a fairy tale, so I just feel like this is perfect for the autumn season. It also is quite funny at times, which I feel like is needed to lift it from some of the darker moments, and it's also just incredibly creative. I feel like some of the scenes really feel like a lucid dream, like they're quite random and very yeah, very just interesting. So yeah, I would highly recommend this one to you if you're looking for a atmospheric read. And then finally, I have another book that I wanted to include on this list that I haven't actually read yet, but that I am planning to pick up this autumn season because I think it's going to be perfect, and that is The Book of Gothel by Mary McMine. So I'm sure you can probably tell by this gorgeous cover that this is actually a Rapunzel retelling, and I don't think I've actually ever read a Rapunzel retelling, which is surprising because I do love fairy tale retellings. So yeah, I'm really excited to give this one a go. This is actually following the main character, who is Mother Gothel, so it's kind of like the villain's story, I guess. And I think the premise is that there is this book that Mother Gothel wrote and it has been discovered for the first time, so it's kind of like hearing her side of the story, I suppose. And from what I've heard other people say, this is supposed to be incredibly atmospheric in the way that it's written, and I just have a feeling this is going to be a new favourite of mine. So I've got very, very high hopes for this one. I'm very excited to pick it up soon, and I will probably be doing either a dedicated reading vlog for this book or a spoiler-free reading review once I've finished it, so keep an eye out on my channel for that if you're interested. And yeah, that brings me to the end of this video. So those are my cozy autumn book recommendations. Let me see if I can hold up this stack for you. Here we go, here they all are. I think these are absolutely perfect if you want something to really get you into the autumn feel. And yeah, I'm just so excited that it's nearly autumn finally. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any cozy autumn book recommendations for me, please do drop them down in the comments below. I would love to hear what you recommend. Or if you just want to let me know that you're here but you're not sure what to comment, please do leave me a little autumn leaf down below, because that always brightens up my day when I see that. Please consider subscribing if you want to see more from me, and like this video if you enjoyed it, because it does really help my channel. And yeah, that's it from me. Thank you so much, and I guess I'll see you next time with another video. Bye!